All right, guys, today we're taking a deep dive into Lacey's 2018 Softail Slim. We're gonna walk you pretty much through everything that we've done on the bike so far and how we set it up for her. But first, I'm gonna let Lacey go ahead and talk about why we got this bike for.
So yeah, I mean, as someone, Bubba and I just talked about this earlier tonight, I am 5'3", it's an illusion. I wear heels. Bubba's 6'5", I'm not
Big
this
ones.
tall. Yeah, I'm a big platform girly. But yeah, I'm short, I'm small. So honestly, when we were going to look at bikes after going through the licensing class and stuff like that, we needed something with a low seat height, again, because I'm small, and getting into the bikes and finding something that was gonna be, I say lightweight in some ways, but heavy weighted in other areas. That was all stuff that was very new to me. So Bubba can get into that as far as weights, if you're cool with it.
Yeah, I think something we talked about, so for those who don't know, Lacey started riding in January of this year. So it's all still pretty new. Yeah, and in a lot of ways, I kind of forgot what it was like to be a new rider. And so it was kind of a fun thing to kind of balance and talk back and forth off. But a lot of people, again, the advice you generally hear when someone's a new rider, and especially a smaller rider, they'll be like, well, get a Sportster, start on that, it's a good starter bike. And I think for the things that we wanted to do, and we discussed this, I felt like it wasn't a great option. I have my main bike is my 21 Road King Special. And I have done a little bit to the engine and stuff, just like for those who know, like a cam and tune and stuff like that.
It's a great bike.
But I knew that if she had, an 883 Sportster, it was going to be a little harder for her to keep up. And then that's a lot of miles to do on a Sportster because we could do a lot to like California. We travel around, so we're doing long days. Mm-hmm. And so
hopefully a Vegas trip coming up soon.
We are going to do Vegas soon. But we talked about like when you're throwing down a lot of miles, sometimes it helps even a lighter rider to have a heavier bike. So as we started looking through, we went through like, again, we did sit on and try out some Sportsters, some of the new Softail Street Bobs, some Dynas, and then also the Slim. And one of the reasons that I think the Slim was appealing was because one, it has a low seat height, so it does help shorter riders. And then also just the Softail frame, and especially the Slim, some like the Heritage, some of those are weighted really low on the bike, which for lighter riders actually I think makes it easier to control at higher speeds. And so after all of that, sitting on a few bikes, and I will share this real fast, like initially,
it is fun.
Yes. Lacey had done her course, and she has an experience riding in the desert and dunes. Well, and growing up and stuff, so it wasn't a totally new thing to ride something with a clutch and shifting and stuff like that, where that can be a totally new concept for some people.
Yeah.
But I think for, again, road bike, this is the first time. And the course they do on like 250 Honda Rebels or something like that, so they weigh like 300 pounds.
Yeah, so mostly smaller bikes.
Yeah, I was gonna say every bike you sat on, you're like,
some adventure bikes in there. There's a weird assortment, but yeah, I was on a little Rebel, so.
But all the bikes I feel like we sat on initially as we were going through and trying to find a good one that fit her. She was like, well, they're all pretty heavy.
They're all heavy. Yeah.
And so, I think after going through everything, talking about a few different things, we did end up going with the 18 Softail Slim to get the M8 in it. It has an M8 107, just the bike right now is completely stock. And so, but it's plenty of power for her to keep up on the highways. We're not, ripping at 100 miles an hour everywhere we go. So it's a great bike. And honestly, as we've put more miles on it, or you have put more miles on it, it's proven to be great. And outside of one instance,
I was going to say,
wind and weather and other things, she's been able to stay pretty strong on the bike. So yeah. It's been a good choice.
Yeah, I agree.
Would you recommend this bike to new riders?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, I think like kind of what Bubba was saying, right? Like coming straight out of like the certification classes and stuff, going from something like the Honda Rebel and being like, they're heavy. This is a heavy bike. But I also at the same time was like, I don't want like a newbie bike. I don't want like a baby bike. And he's like, trust me, sweetie, this is not a baby bike. But yeah, I enjoy it. I think, you know, I've worked on legs at the gym and making sure we've got some power there too, which I think has helped with things like when we're walking it, you know, if I'm getting it in or out of like a sharper turn, not like full on turn, but like backing into a parking spot or coming to the garage if I've got to walk it a little bit up and back and, you know, that sort of thing. I think it's helped a lot. But yeah, I mean, I can't say that from my personal experience it's a bad beginner's bike. I also don't know like what a standard beginner's bike is for anybody. So I think that we did pretty good. I do think though, like even going back to some of the ones we looked at, like a Sportster model, first one I sat on, I didn't love. It's actually funny, we just talked about this in our podcast with our friends Ryan Boyce and Molly, but Ryan made a funny comment about you don't want to sit on a bike, you want to sit in a bike. And that was so crazy, right? Like even fast forward 10 months ago, right? Like I didn't have that knowledge, but I knew when I sat on the Sportster or the couple Sportster models that I sat on, I was like, this seat feels high. I felt like I was on top of the bike versus in the bike. And I think that added to a lot of the comfort level for me specifically as a first bike. So I can't say, you know, no knock into the people who do it on anything else, whether it's a street bike or otherwise. But yeah, I think this for me worked really well.
Yeah, and guys, again, feel free to disagree in the comments. Let us know what you think.
No harm, no foul.
Well, and I would say like one of my pieces of advice, again, maybe not the best piece of advice for some people. I think for us it's worked out, but I said don't get a bike that you think in your mind is your starter bike, because you're not going to want to put the time, money, effort into getting it to what you want it to be, because you're like, oh, this is temporary. Yeah. And most of the people who I have seen in my life, like everybody that I can think of who got a starter bike, you know, one to get comfortable on, it was like a month later they're trying to trade it in. They didn't put any money into it. They ended up losing money, and they just
fair point.
It was kind of like there's a shelf life to it. And so because of that, I think get the bike that you want, that you see yourself on, that you enjoy, because then you're going to want to ride it more. You're going to want to put the time, the money, and the effort into being a good rider on that bike, set it up how you want. And I think that's kind of what we've done here. Yeah, no, I can't disagree with that at all. I think that's really good advice. Thank you, you followed it. Well done. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and just jump into some of the things we've done the bike. Again, this bike was pretty much bone stock when we got it. There's some other pictures and videos. If you guys have seen those, you got to see the transformation. But if you want to talk, what's like the first thing that we did to the bike? I think the very first thing we did was handlebars, right? Yeah. If I remember right, yeah. And this was huge. And I remember thinking, no, I want a little taller or a little more of a pullback, and Bubba was like, this is gonna be just fine, trust me. And honestly, it really is. I think my arm positioning is good. I think everything that they teach you, and honestly, just as comfort, like my arms don't get tired. I'm not hanging up high. I did joke with Bubba probably a month after we got Stormy. I said, what if I want baby apes? And he goes, you don't need baby apes on Stormy. But yeah, I love the T-bar setup. I think it's great. The bars that we did end up, we kind of shopped around a little bit to find the bar that we were looking for. I was looking for a one piece instead of a riser and like an MX bar setup. So we did get an MX style, but single welded bar. And so it's the LA Choppers, Kage Fighter, 1.25 inch in diameter, 12-inch tall bars, and they have a 2-inch pullback. But again, Lacey's 5'3", got a small wingspan. We'll show it, like obviously throughout this video you're seeing her riding. She has a pretty good riding stance where her arms are maybe just below shoulder height, but it's again a pretty comfortable position. It has her upright, and it's pretty easy for her to maneuver the bike around. So that ended up being a solid bar for her. Yeah, I think they've worked super well. Very exciting. Addition to that, we do have the ODI Vans Grips. And I actually ended up putting those on my bike as well. We got those at the same time. And for me, I've had tons of different grips. I will say that they get a little tacky. So if you don't wear gloves, I would say it's not ideal. But if you do wear gloves, they're phenomenal. They're very grippy. Like even just sitting here, it's been in the garage all day. Can't say that like just from anything else I've ridden in the past, it's something I would have immediately chosen. But was like, trust me, you'll like them. I don't hate them. I do like them. I think they've worked out really well. Yeah, so that's been solid. Yeah. And then, yeah, I would say let's just keep moving forward. So what's in front of the
we've got our Memphis shades fairing. Or are you talking about this? We'll start here.
Yeah, I was going to do, so first
Our
I'll point out right here real fast. We did do the Memphis shade handguards. One of the reasons, and again, this was kind of me encouraging Lacey to set this up. Arizona, a lot of dust, a lot of rocks on the highways.
A lot of rocks.
And it just protects your hands. Guys, I actually have a cut on my hand right now from getting lit up by a rock, and I have handguards on my bike. So like it happens still, but it helps deflect a lot. And especially like riding in various temps, it's
keeps the heat off the hands.
yeah, well, heat or the cool.
Yeah.
So it does buffer. That's been a great upgrade, and I think that helps. Again, on longer little trips that we've been on, just keep you like just more energy throughout the trip. Just kind of helps not beat you up as much. All right, moving forward.
All right, back to it. Memphis shades fairing. This was something, first of all, I was exuberantly excited about because one, we got the hookup from our homies out there. They were super cool. Bubba has got this connection with them that's ongoing for at least a couple years now, and they were nice enough to hook it up for me. We were already looking at it, and I think we were like gonna pull the trigger, but yeah, that was bar none. And seriously, I remember telling Bubba, I think this is gonna make the biggest difference to me, more so on distance journeys. But you know, we live in an area where we do have to take freeways and interstates out here, and it could be not windy anywhere else in the valley, and you hit this one little part of that interstate. And again, I'm small, I'm 110 pounds, so like I got pushed around a lot, or I just was eating the wind in the chest. We got this baby, and I was like, ooh, first ride, so excited. I was like, I could ride for days. I could ride for a full day. I mean, not realistically, you gotta fill up the gas tank, but I was like, this is monumentally huge. It made a huge difference for me. I've said that time and time again. I think people my size, anyone who's just like, man, I just eat the wind, get a fairing.
Yeah.
Memphis shades specifically, this is fabulous. I know Bubba's got the details on the model or maybe whatever, but yeah, this, love it, would never leave it. It's great.
Yeah, so if you guys do have questions, it's the Road Warrior, Memphis shades fairing, and then Lacey has a 15-inch tall windshield or windscreen on hers, which again, buffer zone's kind of right over her head, so it gives her pretty good comfort throughout a ride.
Yeah, it's great.
Again, this is a product that like I love way more than I thought I would. Super easy to install. It's been a great product for me. I've had mine on my bike now for a couple years, and would never look back. So highly recommend, especially if you're throwing down miles. I was honestly anti-windshield for
Ever?
again, I've been riding now for
15
years, and for 13 of those years, I was rocking 18, 20-inch shapes on most of my bikes and just eating wind. And I had 1,000 mile a day, and I was like, I need to switch this up a little bit. So I threw the fairing on, and I still, every once in a while, take it off and just enjoy
yeah, you've
it.
taken it off a few times even this year.
Yeah, but it's super easy to put on and take off.
Yeah.
And so again, if you're doing trips, highly recommend. I think that was a huge upgrade for you, especially.
Yeah, helped
just
out
as
a lot.
we travel around.
Yeah, just out of curiosity before you move on, because I know that's where you're going. You said 15-inch on mine. Mm-hmm. Do you know what's yours? I know we're going to go over bike check in the next video, but
we'll do mine later. But I have the 17-inch on mine, which is the tallest one they make.
Perfect.
And it does. Again, I'm 6'5", so it probably hits me in like forehead. Like the wind actually covers till about there. So if I wear a full face, I have pretty good coverage. If not, I get a good breeze, and I'm all right with it. So
keeps the hair cool.
Yeah, need that. All right, moving down. Again, one of the actually first things that we installed on this bike.
Actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, before everything else, I think the first thing was this bad boy. It's the Flatout Crash Bar. It's actually the Harley bar. And we did that for two reasons. One, it gives good coverage. So if you do dump the bike, if you drop it on its side, even with these bags on, it's just wide enough where it stays up. Obviously, if you do dump it, you probably are going to mess up your bags. Yeah. But because we do need to add some rears. But the front crash bar, it's solid. It's pretty cheap. I think it's like $300, which as far as crash bars goes, easy. Again, easy to install. And it's been great. It actually, when Lacey did go down,
wild.
The Flatout bar did literally save the bike. So again, a testament to it working, and it's a solid thing. So after that happened, we got a new one, threw it back on there. Yeah. And that's been a solid upgrade to the bike.
I agree. Yeah. That was also a fun one for me. I was like, ooh, I get these like cool pegs. And Bubba's like, no, these are your crash bars. Crash bars, baby. And I'm like, what are those for? He's like, everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't believe you forgot about those. But yeah, all right, moving on.
All right, let's move down. So again, outside of like engine itself is stock. We have factory tune, factory filter, but we did end up throwing on a new pipe. And again, a couple reasons, but one, I think the one complaint Lacey had when we got the bike is she's like, it sounds kind of weenie. Okay, but yeah, outside of that, we did end up going with the Jackpot RTX 2-in-1 stainless pipe from Moto. It is, the reason one we got this is I have it on my bike and I've loved it. It's, again, puts out great sound. For me, again, solid performance. Hers looks still pretty new. Mine's all blue, but you know, it's been solid so far. And so again, really happy with the product. And again, sounds great. And it's not too loud for the rider. We did get the tip is downturned, which helps a little bit with that. But for me, like, again, riding all day with too loud of a pipe, I know that's maybe a little bit whiny on myself, but it can be obnoxious, but it puts out plenty of sound literally right behind you as the rider. So super happy with it. I think Lacey loves the aesthetic of it.
I do.
But it's been solid.
Yeah, she didn't make a sound before. It was like a whistle in the wind.
Yeah.
She was so quiet. I was like, what the heck? But yeah, very, very cool. That was probably the most like actively fun upgrade, I would say.
And we did, again,
like it was noticeable because it's audio.
Yeah, I was gonna say noticeable upgrade. And then, yeah, Lacey and I were wrenching on that for a night.
Yeah.
And it was Lacey's first exhaust install. And so it was a fun thing to do together and get that on here.
And honestly, it wasn't too bad though. I think in my mind, I anticipated that being quite a bigger feat. I think it would have been a single person task that would have taken me multiple hours, but it was fun to crank it out with you.
It was solid.
Yeah.
All right, moving back, this is Biltwell Sissy Bar. That was another thing, I'm gonna say this, and I mean this in no disrespect. When we travel, Lacey has a lot of things.
I'm a girl.
And so with that, we did need to put a Sissy Bar on it to have a bag strapped up. We actually have the Biltwell bag too that I've had for a few years, and now I let her use on this, but straps up nice. I think it's like the Biltwell X-Fill 80. If you're looking at good bags,
it's a great bag.
I've been super happy with it. She uses it now. And yeah, so that's, again, for trips and stuff, it's been awesome. So we threw that on. And then the most recent things that we did to the bike.
On the back end.
Go ahead.
We've got the Viking bags. And this was, again, another really awesome gift. I don't even know what to call it, but like huge thank you to Viking bags. This was, first of all, it was kind of a feat in the making. We had them longer than we anticipated putting them on the bike, but you know, we had to get a couple of things, and that included the taillight extensions and stuff that we talked about before. But yeah, these are fantastic. I am super looking forward to, again, Bubba's talking about this Vegas trip that we're hoping to plan in the hopefully not so near future, or not so distant future. Yeah. But yeah, I love them. I think they're great. I think quality-wise, Bubba could, when we get into his video next week, he can talk about the difference in what he feels in his versus these, but I think just as like a pure standby, like I wouldn't know the difference if I didn't know the difference, and I don't. So I think they're wonderful though. They've got the locking mechanism, they came with keys, they came with all the necessities, what do they call it?
Just bag inserts.
Bag inserts, yeah, I'm like the inner bags, but yeah, so I can load everything up in those bags and then stuff them right in there. They lock, and yeah, I mean, they're beautiful. They're glossy black, which actually was kind of cool. Originally we talked about painting the fairing, and then we were like, do we get bags, this color, that color? And I'm like, you know what, black on black is cool for now. We don't know what we'll do with paint in the future, and I know that they'll do well with whatever we decide to do. So yeah.
We do have the paint though, so
painting
probably will happen.
It screams at us from the table over in the garage.
Yeah, it will probably happen soon.
I think they look great though. I think like for a stock look, it's not bad. So yeah.
The bags themselves, guys, I know I got my phone out, I don't want to jack it up, but they're the 42 liter Baldur extra large bags from Viking.
There we go.
And again, super happy with the quality of them. They're solid. They really are pretty easy to install. It helped a ton to have two people doing it.
Yes.
But yeah, so far great. And then again, the last, I guess, thing that we've done to the bike is add, I'm not sure if you can see it from this angle, but the rear turn signal brake light extenders. It pushed them out, I think it's about 4 inches from stock in order to get the bags on, which you will need to do if you have a Slim.
Yeah, to accommodate the space of the bags, yeah.
But honestly, so Again, Lacey's bike is pretty dialed for her for the next little bit, minus one thing. It's the seat. So she has a Mustang seat on it right now, which is a little bit too far back. So again,
it's a little big for me, yeah.
I will say the one knock I personally have, it's like an outside perspective looking in on the Softail Slim, is the floorboards and how far forward they're pushed for a short rider. Lacey's rides fine on it, but this seat is set up, again, it's pushed back a little bit, so we do need to get a new seat for her.
Yeah.
We've been shopping around for a while. We are flirting with custom, so we might end up just doing a custom seat.
We know some people, so
we do know.
We might see if they want to help us out with something cool.
We know a seat person, but we're also looking. So if you guys have any recommendations or suggestions that like you love or that you think work, let us know.
That's actually a great idea.
Because that really is like I think the final thing that we need to do to the bike to have it set up for Lacey for the foreseeable future. I'm sure we'll start playing with the engine and do it. Maybe do a couple extra things, but we'll get her comfortable on this. So outside of the seat, this is Lacey's bike. Yeah,
I love her. She's great. Bubba forgot to mention my foxtail. That was one of the most favorite additions. No, I'm just kidding. That's just a fun accessory. But yeah. This is Stormy.
But we're going to do a bike check with my 21 Road King soon, so subscribe so you can follow that.
Check it out.
And yeah.
All right, Bub. What's the lesson of this week?
Lesson of the week. All right, guys, lesson of the week is get the bike that you see yourself on. All right. I know typically we do like holistic things, so I'm gonna break it into a bigger thing. But the lesson is get the bike that you see yourself on, but that applies to all aspects of life, right? So you got to visualize and you got to go after the things that you want. Don't settle for things that are less.
Dream big.
So many people fall into the trap of like, oh, well, I'll get this and one day it'll be better and stuff. And I'm not saying like blow all your money on dumb stuff. Like I always wanted a, Rolls Royce. And so now I sold my house and I got my car. Like I'm not saying that, but.
We're working on it though.
Yeah, but I think get the things that you want to get because again, that motivates you. It puts the time. And honestly, I think it helps with your image of yourself. So as superficial as that may sound to some people.
I don't think so.
Well, I think
it's a great message.
Taking back to like my football days, right? Like feel good, play good. So if you need to wear extra sweatbands in a football game and that makes you feel good, you're going to play good. It's the same thing with all aspects of life. So including motorcycles, get the bike that you see yourself on and you'll be happy and you won't look back.
I love it. I think that's perfect.
Thanks for checking out Lacey's bike and where we have it.
Yeah.
Please give us comments. Let us know your thoughts on how we set it up.
On Stormy.
And
tell us what you think.
Yeah, let us know if you have any seat recommendations or...
Yes, local or otherwise. That would be dope, actually.
Yeah, guys, if you're in the Phoenix area, let us know.
Yeah.
And then stay tuned because we're going to do my 21 Road King, which probably has a little bit more done, at least in the engine section. Not a ton, guys. It's not a 135 or anything crazy. But I'll break down how I set that up because that is my first touring bike that I did. And I love how I had it set up. I ride it literally daily. So yeah, it's been solid for a couple years now.
That'll be fun next week. So keep an eye out.
All right, guys. Thanks. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. All right. I want it again. Come back.
Do your thingy.
No, come back.
I'm not going to smack your butt on the camera. Do your thingy.
I wanted a high